part of Florida Georgia, we said we're talking about? We're going to do a story time on the move to Georgia and do's and don'ts, like advice for anybody who's moving out of state.
Yeah.
Or even in state.
Yeah, like as far as like the process and everything.
Well, when you move into another state, the obvious is to like save money. You have to have. I would recommend having at least $5,000 to $6,000 before you decide to move somewhere.
If you could get a little bit more than that, that'd be good too.
But at least $5,000 to $6,000, at least no less than like $5,000.
And no, well, it depends on where you move into, because a lot of places is expensive and a lot of places is cheap. So if you plan on moving to like a place where it's cheap, then
it's not even too much the cost of the place. It's the fact that when we decided to move, we didn't know like the full process. So
yeah,
there's application fees. There's a fee for like, of course, like pets. So we don't have it, but you know, for those who does have pets, then there's a fee for that. There's a fee just about for everything.
Yeah, you got first and last month that you have to pay too.
You know, in some states, like I think New York, they're only required to charge you like just I think first and last, and then like in Florida, it's like first, last, and a deposit. And yeah, I don't know. It's different in different states, but there's an application fee. There's the fee to get your keys. There's the fee for just about everything. So that $5,000 to $6,000 will run out quickly. Not even just for the apartment itself, but your furniture. You have to think about like little things like groceries and that type of stuff. That's why I would say the moving process is a little easier if you have like help. Like if you have an adult to like guide the situation or like to really know what's going on. But when it came to that type of stuff, we just had to find out through experience.
Oh yeah, these people, these apartment places, these people will take your money, and they don't care. They will sit you down, knowing they're not gonna approve you for this place. They will sit you down. They will make you fill out all of these papers, pay for these application fees. How much be application fees? Application fees be like...
You know, they be like $75 to $100. Some of them are a little bit more than that. And that's per person. It's not just in general. It's per person.
And it's non-refundable too. Yeah. So if you don't get approved for this place, you're not going to get that money back.
You're not getting the application money back. They're keeping that.
You're not going to get that money back.
And so that was super annoying to me because I was just like...
we did that with a lot of places. We did a lot
like
of
these. Some of these places already knew flat out that we weren't like... We didn't have fit all the criteria. And they still allowed us to do the application, knowing that we weren't going to get that place or qualify for that place, and they would just keep the application money. And you know, so having to do that for each place was just annoying, and it's a waste of money.
And we look young, we're fresh, so we walking in.
We are young.
Oh yeah, well we young, so we walking into these places trying to get an apartment, and they looking like, yeah, we just gonna take the little money y'all got, but we're not gonna give you this place. We did the tours, we did everything. They took our money, and we did a lot of application fees where they just took the money.
And then the thing is, when we had gone to Georgia and we were doing that process, we didn't have a lot of, mind you, we coming from Florida, and you was already in Georgia, but I was going there
for a few months.
And like the hard part was finding somebody to take us to go tour these apartments, because then that meant we had to spend extra money on Uber and Lyft, and people just finessing and taking advantage of it.
Can we tell them about the boy? Because we're not going to ever see him again, and it don't matter, and I don't care.
Yeah, we can talk about it. Just keep his name out, but like...
I could just call him boy. So this boy, I met him at an Airbnb. He was the Airbnb host. And he was real cool. People was like, he was real cool. And he was really cool to the point where, like, we would, like, ask him for, like, rides and stuff. But we'll pay him. Like, every single time we'll pay him. to the point, like, he started, like, bringing up the price and stuff. Like,
it went from 25 to
But
50, 50 and higher.
but when we got a car, we like, like, we didn't know before, but she kind of knew because she drives, but I don't drive. So I didn't really know, like, how much gas to give. Like, if he said, okay, I need $60 for gas, I'll just give it. I wouldn't, like, think, like, oh, that's too much. But then she'll tell me, like, you know, you only need $20 to really fill the tank.
Yeah, it really depends on the car, because the type of car we have, we can fill our tank with, 20 to like 30.
Yeah.
We'll fill the entire tank up,
like,
and then we can see the mileage. So say we going a place that's a distance of 17 miles, I can see if the tank has that amount of miles to go. And the guy, he was just completely finessing it because he had a mini car. He didn't have a truck for it to take $60.
That's crazy. He was really taking the money.
He was finessing the whole situation. He was taking advantage of it. He would bring the price up here and there, and then it came to the point where it was a few times where when he know that we had like appointment to make, we needed to go somewhere, and he would act like he was super busy, or act like
he'd be like, I'm so sorry.
He didn't need the money.
He'd be like, no, I'll text him. I'd be like, hey, you busy today? He'd be like, nothing, just chilling. I don't got nothing to do. I was like, okay, cool. Can you take us to this apartment tour? He'll be like, oh yeah, but I got a lot to do, so you're gonna have to pay me a little bit extra. I just said,
knowing he not doing nothing.
You just told me you didn't have nothing to do and you was just chilling. So now that I'm asking you something, like, it was just a whole lot of shit.
All he had to do was say that he needed money, extra money, because he clearly wasn't going to work. Because the times when we would call him, he was clearly at home laying on his behind, like he wasn't working or nothing. He definitely needed the money. So for him to take advantage and act like he was doing something, for him to get the money, but you know what? That's besides the that's besides the point.
Do's and, like, okay, basically the do's and don'ts for, like, moving in and stuff. Make sure you have some kind of support system, adult to guide you, because if not, these people are gonna take your money.
Not saying that you can't do it without having a support system, because we didn't have one. It is possible to do it without it, but just know what you're getting into. Not saying it's not possible at all to move, because a lot of people, when we were telling them like we wanted to move and stuff like that, people, especially like elders in our family, were making it seem like it was impossible. Like you have to be 30 to move somewhere, and like they don't believe in like moving when you're a young age, like when you're 18, at least 18. Once you're 18, you can move, and legally you can do whatever you want to do. So, but if you're not moving at 30, then it's not going to work, and, it's impossible, and, but for those people who do have a support system, I would recommend getting, like, a co-signer. If you have someone who's willing to, like, sign over their, I guess, authority.
Yeah, but a lot of people, I didn't know, even when we were looking for places, I didn't really understand the co-signing thing. I understand how deep it was. Like, somebody really had to give up personal information for you to have this place, and if you don't pay the rent, they're gonna lose their credit is gonna go bad, and they're gonna have an eviction notice in their name. So you're gonna be completely fine. So when the co-signing thing, it's a good point, but be mindful who you're asking.
But that's only if really, like, I'm sure most adults know what co-signing is. So it's not something you really have to talk about to them if you want.
No, we're speaking to people that's looking to move, or like don't really know, like don't really have experience, that's young, straight out of high school, that don't really know.
I would say the first thing to do is first make a budget, and that's a budget of how high you're willing to pay for rent, groceries a month, your phone bills, all those type of bills, and just write it down in a notepad and really just think about calculate the amount of money you're spending in a month, and then try to balance that out. And then I think it's really, really important to know your needs from your wants. Like, if you can't decide what you need and what's a want, it's really going to be a problem for you to save money. It's really going to be a horrible thing, because there's going to be times where you're going to have to choose between your rent and getting your hair done. And, of course, the rent is going to be the first priority. So it's just about budgeting. It's about prioritizing and just making sure you balance your needs and wants. One of the things that I would say not to do is not to put, not to get too ahead of yourself. So it goes with what I just said. Always make sure that your bills are paid and try to get them paid on time. And the most important thing, pray about it if it's getting too bad. And I don't know. I would say, like, the thing is with Georgia wasn't an expensive place to move to.
No,
it's not expensive at all.
It's not expensive.
It's a big city, state. It's a lot of people there. Things are cheap. You could get a 4-bedroom there for like $900. And, you know, Miami, that's a different market. But in Georgia, they are cheap there, so it's not really an issue. That's why a lot of people live in Georgia. It's really cheap.
But really, Georgia prices are going up because a lot of people are moving there. So when a lot of people move somewhere, they're going to start moving the prices up. So them prices going up in Georgia for real.
Yeah, but another do for moving out is make sure you have a stable job. And you don't want to have a job that's paying $3 an hour.
Yeah.
A job that you get, I would recommend getting paid like weekly. Yeah. Not one that's bi-weekly or...
And when you're moving, make sure you have a couple, you know, paychecks from a government job so that you can show
have
these
your
people,
pay stubs.
Because that's the first thing they're going to ask for, like, where you work at.
And then some of these places require that you make about 2.5 to 3 times the rent. Like, you have to make that when they calculate your pay stubs and look at your bank statements.
So if the rent is like, say the rent is like $700, you'll have to make twice that.
Some is twice, some is 2.5, sometimes it's 3 times. But if you know you can make 3 times on your own, I would highly suggest getting a roommate. You and them go half on it, and they read both of your pay stubs, and then you know, you'll be able to get it just by that.
Yeah,
as long as you either make it 3 times by yourself or you make it with somebody. So I would recommend, especially if it's probably your first time moving out, I would get a roommate, just because the cost to split everything would be evenly, and it'd be a little bit less stress. And then when you are ready to just move by yourself, then you have like you have experience living with yourself, because a lot of places they love people with like rental history already.
Yeah. So,
you know, now being in like the second lease, we already have like rental history from the past. And, you know, some places do look at credit, some don't. Some of them like first time renters, and some of them don't like it.
I would say everybody check credit. Even if places tell you like no credit check, this and that, at the end of the day, when they get your ID and they run that shit through with your social, they gonna check that credit, whether or not it says it on that poster or not. Some of them check that shit on the low and still determine that, and still don't tell you that's the reason why your application got denied.
Yeah, and when we first moved to Georgia, we didn't have credit. We didn't know what it was. Never had anyone to teach us how to get it or what it meant. So a lot of times we'd go to these places and go apply, and we'd tell them, like, we don't have credit. Like, we're trying to build. We don't have it at all. It's not like we have a bad credit score. We literally just don't have credit. And, you know, some people can get a place without credit. It is possible. But in our case, we didn't really know too much about it. And so some apartments be like, oh, you know, they like it, but some don't, because the credit gives a baseline of how on time you are with your payments and any debt you have, credit card payments, all that type of stuff. They can see all of that just by your credit score. So some apartments are like, okay, and some of them are just rather not go through the process at all. But it is possible to get a place without it. And
Are we telling them about the scammery?
that scam job.
Yeah.
It was it was when we moved to Georgia. The first thing I wanted to make sure was like I had a stable job because I was coming from Florida to Georgia. So it's hard to do interviews or to get a job in another state if I can't like immediately fly there and I can't do it over the phone or Skype or anything like that. And at this point, COVID was still very much like at the peak. So this job, and I know a lot of people heard of it now because I did report it, is like a reshipping scam job, and they acted like they would send like products to the house. And thank God I noticed it the first time they sent it, so I didn't really send like a lot of people, like I've watched stories on YouTube and they sent like 20-30 packages, did 2 months of work for these people and and mind you, I didn't do that. I thank God they just sent one package. I realized it was a scam and that was that. And I was upset about it, but I was lucky that I didn't get far into it like other people. Like I was reading this story on YouTube. This fan was talking about they were doing work for these people for 2-3 months, never got paid. And so I looked up that same name, and that was the company that was trying to do the same thing to me. But luckily, I figured it out right then and there, and I hadn't done anything for them, barely even worked for them for a week, did anything. So,
and I was gonna say that, but I wasn't talking about that. I was actually talking about the actual scam, like when we went inside, and remember when I went inside and I thought it was ours. Remember when I went inside the place and I thought it was ours?
Which place? Oh, when we first moved to Georgia, we signed a lease with his landlord, and what he had failed to mention is that the house was a shared house.
Okay,
like it was multiple roommates in there. Like he had made it seem like the whole house belonged to us, and turns out it was like maybe 4 to 5 other roommates.
No. You jumping too far. You giving them too much.
That's the gist of the story. I'm not trying to put this story on.
No, but first of all, when I went to go see the house, she wasn't with me. I was by myself. She was kind of like on FaceTime though. But when I went in the house, he was trying to like make it seem like the whole apartment was ours. He made it seem like it was a common area, but we know what common area is because the research we've been doing and how many tours we've been doing. When I went into this place, I didn't really understand the common area because it's just like a regular apartment. It's no like common area, whatever he tried to make it seem. It was just basically it was a big house. When I went upstairs, it was like a lot of doors and stuff. That shit like a group home, bro.
It was a group home. It was a house with many different roommates. He was trying to make it seem like
it was
like
ours.
If you look at the listing that I saw, he just put I think 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. Like he was just advertising it like it was just a single family home. That's literally what it said. And then when we moved in, it was like 4 to 5 other roommates, and I'm just like, he was making it like, it was at one point I was on the phone with the landlord, and he was like, oh, there's a library, it's a common area. So I'm just thinking like it's a connected apartment complex, and a lot of people just go to the library as a common area, and then everybody has their own little area, like their own little apartment, and they're just all connected. And it was not that. It was just a roommate situation. And then we ended up leaving after like 8 months. We stayed there for about 8 months, and then we left. I didn't enjoy my experience there much. It was like the roommates some of them were just, they didn't know what respect is. They were not hygienic. It's a lot of stuff go through it another time. 'Cause,
Yeah, that's
that's a whole nother
different
story in itself.
But yeah,
that's pretty much all for the do's and don'ts. I would just say, pray with every move, with anything. Save up. Don't agree to the first place that you see. Have options. Look at each place, and really go with what's best in your budget. And try to get places that have the utilities included, like they pay for water and stuff like that, and so you don't have to worry about that. And then try to get a place that's in a good area, low crime rate.
Oh yeah.
Another story, and it is possible. I think I'm gonna leave it on that note.
Yeah, it's possible. It's very possible.
It's not as hard as older people make it seem, or they make it seem like possible. It can get done. But I think that's it for this video.
Yeah,
we gotta make a story time on the other two things,
but
not in this video because this video will be like 2 hours long. But
oh, that's it. That's all.
Say like and subscribe like how the lady said it.
Like it, subscribe it, and press that post belly notification belly thing of yours, motherfuckers.
All right.